Holy fucking awe. Girl.
Want a bacon? Like, should I make one package? Or sausage and bacon? Okay.
Oh, sausage and bacon's plenty, babe. Super plenty, love of my life. Okay.
That's very nice.
This meeting is being recorded.
Morning all.
Hi, Martin. We've got Dekel, Ocean, Martin, Michael.
Hi guys.
Hey, Dekel. Hello, Ocean.
Hello. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. How's it going in New York City?
Not too bad. It's going. I mean, the horrible air from you guys has been cleared, so that's great.
Yeah, we do our best, but it's a lot of forest.
Yeah, it's a lot of forest. It was odd. I don't know if you guys saw those clips, but there was 14 fires that all started at the same time in pretty much a straight line. I haven't heard any indication as to what natural occurrence leads to that, but point of
I was
curiosity.
thinking a moving front with
Yeah, that'd be a chain lightning spanning 700 kilometers. Really odd, really odd. You've got a mouse trap in your hand.
I got a bag of mice traps to step. We have a mouse in the cottage, and
Yes.
that's not good. And critically, we added heating and air conditioning to the cottage last year. And what I don't know is whether we created a hole, which would be a problem if they get in over the winter. So
Right.
we have to do what we can.
Yep.
We bud the humane trap. They weren't interested, so
Always a popular addition. We had a
Not
cottage
sure
up
what-
in Quebec City, and my uncle would capture them for a while and take them to the opposite side of the lake. And he started marking them because he suspected they were coming back, and he started marking them, and they would come back all the way on the other side of the lake, make their way back. So that's when he decided the traps were a necessary upgrade. So
Yeah, we have moved animals to a fair distance, but there's a point at which you go, you know what?
yeah,
There's all these other places you could be, just not in here, please.
not in here. It's the one rule. So Reuven is off this week and can't dial in today. Didn't post the links or anything to today's session. Nick's traveling. Brad's tied up. Ofer is with us here for a little bit. And I think we've got about 7 of us. I'm slammed and have a pile of work, but happy to keep it open as a user for the next while. If you guys want to dive into anything, we've got. Is that Michael O'Boyle? Michael in. Not sure. But I won't live stream. I'm not going to activate the live stream, Martin, because it's effectively a holiday session.
Yeah. Fair enough. Okay. Okay. I wasn't planning to be at my computer.
Right. Yeah. You got stuff going too.
Yeah. I thought, oh, I'll just listen in, but
yeah. Well, if there's anything sort of top of mind, hey, there's Mark. Hey, Mark. How are you?
You're muted, Mark. Good to see you, man.
Yeah, good. How are you?
Super. I was just saying to the guys, Reuven's off this week. Didn't post the link out for today, and most folks are traveling, moving, or August holidays or what have you. So looks like there's maybe 8 or 9 of us here. I'm going to keep we're not going to live stream today. I'm going to keep I'm logged in as user so I can keep it open. Folks want to talk through stuff, but small and informal, and here as long as we like. What are you up to, Dekel?
Actually, not much. I'm pretty much planning what I'm gonna do next. I'm partnered with a financial guy, and we're thinking about ideas and interviewing people from the business sector thinking of like something like CFO as a service.
Mhm.
So I didn't have much time of building. Although I do want, but all my mentors tell me don't build anything now. You just need to ask questions and look for the problems. So this is
Right.
state of mind.
Yep. Yeah, fascinating.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Good take.
also I'm waiting for my seed, which oddly enough it reached a house near me, and then it got back to the post office, and now it's somewhere traveling the country. So hopefully in a couple of weeks I can get it back.
Right. With sticky notes on neighbor doors.
Yeah, yeah. Ah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Thoughts of what
and
you'd build with it?
yeah, so I'm practically want to experiment. I want to try to see if I can get the CSI to work with review. I've been trying to do it without the seed. Stuart helped me a lot, but I didn't manage to get to a point where it's when I have a result. So currently I downloaded the knowledge base that Stuart prepared, and hopefully that will help my AI to, be better in building and setting it up. I already got a bunch of ESPs, and I ordered the LD something something and the breathing meter. So I got the tools. Now I need to see how to make them work.
Yeah, I think review is like it's that thing that makes you the most curious. It's like, oh yeah, that would be really difficult, and if it's actually possible, and it's so well publicized, it's a real mind opener. And I always feel that when we do an event, um, if we can, in fact, we should do this with the chapters. Um, if we can scan the room first, set it up for review, and have it like behind the wall or something, I think there's nothing that grabs attention like a demo. And I think even if people just walk away thinking, how was that even possible? And are we in the new future? And has it arrived already? Like I think it's a home run. So I'm
Yeah, yeah.
hoping when we take our new location for the Toronto meetup, and incidentally, Rob, is that happening this week when we do the um
Yeah.
we settle on a location, we can do that scan because I understand actually calibrating for the space is critical. Like it doesn't work if you haven't um like
Set the baseline.
done the calibration.
Yeah. Yeah, we're back from Heather, confirmation, but we do have that space going forward. She just needs to make sure, because I believe they are moving in on the 11th.
Right.
Right. So so we should hear from Heather shortly.
And so is that the same day that we'd run it? Is that the Tuesday?
That would be the second Tuesday of August, yes.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
So we should
I
hear
guess
back from her and see how, I mean, if it's preamble and that's their first go live day, it should be fine. But if things are arriving and showing up that day, it's not great. So we'll see. Yeah. We'll
Yeah.
get some.
I'm open also to do like, half a day with people from the community and try to, get it to work together. That could be also a interesting experience. Everyone, installing, putting all the different tools like in a set of prerequisite list. So if anyone up for it, I'm in.
right. I guess one thing I can, this is a complete change of the subject. One thing I can tell you is that I now have, so I have this tool called VideoSync, and its goal is to put up the entire archive of every Thursday and Friday going back in time, right? Which is basically 18 months, 3 hours a week. And then, so that mostly works now. So if you go on YouTube, you can see that there's a lot of things that are now dated. And I've just created the summarization method so that it will take the transcripts and actually write a coherent text summary of the things. I have quite a few gaps in the history, and anybody with a Agentics.org address can actually go into VideoSync and look at it. But so the reason why there are gaps is because we have historically used different Zoom accounts. So that literally I don't have the recording for some of those things, but for where we do, we can essentially bulk process. So I can, replace all the titles, all the content, create the summary, make a shorter summary, and jazz it up, and all the rest of it. So if there's feedback, then my name's Martin Cleaver, and you can usually find me on the Discord channel called I think it's webinar content or something like that.
Amazing.
Nice.
That is
which also
about-
means.
What's that?
Which I was also going to say that for the chapters and what have you, just started working with Adam Kovacs from the Vienna chapter. If you've got video content, then there's basically a contributor role that I can assign to your account so that you can either do a Zoom share into it or a Google file upload. I can take a manual file at the moment, but like an upload. But I was thinking about, for example, the Agentic tribe, they have video content that they store on a drive. So whether it's open content that everybody should be able to see, or if there are some more restricted things, I would see the role of that site to be able to absorb and distribute accordingly, because it is quite a nice, coherent, at least I think so, interface. And I also incorporated into it Opus Clip, so it will automatically generate the shorts, and people can look through go, oh, on this date there are these 20 shorts. These are the ones we can preview it and then push it up. So yeah, I kind of almost trust the system now to do the chain of events. So that's pretty good. And there's something else we can say about it. No, I know. Yes, that I will take those same summaries and push them through my other tool, which is called SummaryBot, which summarizes, I think, like Discord channels and WhatsApp, or what have you, and make that content that goes through it too. So, and SummaryBot is RuBrain capable. So there's a whole possibility there that software will get implemented before someone has finished talking about it in our community.
Really interesting. That's a big block of work, Martin.
Tell me about it. SummaryBot is currently going through a third complete rewrite. Actually, I suppose it's the fourth. This time in Rust and all the rest of it. So I had a Python version before, and I ripped the user interface off it because I like the user interface, but the back end was getting quite incoherent. So I basically told RuFlow to regenerate the entire back end, and I'm currently challenging it on it. Well, does your new implementation work? It's saying things like, "Oh no, I completely forgot to write this functional area." I go, well, what are you waiting for? Just get on with it.
Hey, Martin, quick question. Hey, Martin.
Yeah.
How much of a lift would it be to add the collections of all the URLs that are shared in chat as a summary so those could live and remain?
Yeah. So when you say in chat, are you talking about the chat during a Zoom session?
Yeah. So we often share repos, URLs, links.
Yeah. So one of the things that it already does is it has, I think, chat inspired moments or something like that, right? So it does a little rubric on like, okay, what are the takeaways? What are the sections? And what created the most conversation? What are those points? So it does look for specifics, out of the chat transcript. It has that ability. It I haven't yet done the chat transcript as a parallel to a transcript from WhatsApp and Discord, right? But absolutely, that can and should be and will be a goal.
Right
So
on.
if somebody
Okay.
wants to take it on, then yeah, I'm happy that they fork the code and all the rest of it.
My opinion. Okay. Going back off, got to do my jumping jacks.
Okay.
Good man. I was gonna ask Michael, Obi-Wan,
Yes,
if
present. Accounted
yeah,
for, sir.
how are you?
I'm great. How you doing?
I'm super, super, super. My grandpa's in for a minor surgery, so we're keeping a close eye. But other than that, everyone's keeping well.
Great.
We had a chance to start to go through the evolution of the Foundation's GitHub repo, and I was wondering if you might have the time, if you could sort of walk us through how that is unfolding and what some of those projects look really exciting and interesting. So would you
Well, I can,
care to share
yeah,
some
I
stuff
can,
with us there and how that's unfolding?
sure. Yeah, let me just share. This is what sharing is not turned on. You can request sharing from this for this meeting.
There we go.
I'm going to need some assistance.
Interesting little factoid about sharing. It is not possible on the meeting series to establish whether that series has meetings turned on or off. Instead, it is a per user setting. So my recommendation going forward is that all internal meetings are done with an account that's different to all our external meetings, so have the user accounts set accordingly.
Okay.
Which is
In the
kind of
interim,
ridiculous because Zoom has so many settings, not that one.
yeah, we set to the user level.
Which means committee leaders own the Zoom account. Is that what you're saying, Martin? So that way we don't have the problems we had in marketing and web this week.
Yeah, so we would have a committee, Zoom account, and then you continue to use agents or a different account for events. Maybe we don't use agent as a user as an account at all. We just have a committee one and have an event one and separate that way.
Cool. Sorry, Rob.
Yep. No.
So just real quickly,
Nice.
Martin and I had a conversation yesterday on the open source committee meeting, and we talked a little bit about next steps for this OIA application matrix. Again, this is something that was produced to provide a mapping of the OIA kind of standards, maturity model, what have you, to various repositories. And I'm certainly not an expert on OIA. However, my Claude code has gotten pretty good at it and has worked through a variety of different repositories, many actually gathered from the transcripts that were mentioned earlier from various meetings. It's somewhat sporadic, but I have saved a number of the different chats from meetings past and tried to kind of pull in some of the repositories that were discussed. If you're interested in learning more about OIA, there are some, I should put a link on this page for that. In fact, there may be something here. No, not yet. But anyway, I'll put a link in the chat in a moment or so.
If anyone's thinking about it, it's a categorization framework that will help categorize what does this repository touch, right? So is it physical compute? Is it sovereign infrastructure? Is it mostly about content and knowledge, inference and retrieval, et cetera, et cetera? So the reason why, so whenever you're coming across a repo and there's a conversation about it, well, is that applicable to me? Will I ever need that? It's a nice way to think about all the repositories we touch from within the foundation members. So, do you want to continue, Michael?
Sure. Yeah, so this basically is a way of kind of entering into various repositories and to determine kind of what shape they are, what areas they touch, and OIA, I think, aims at trying to provide some standards, or if not standards, a sort of way of talking about these things in a standard way, such that they can be evaluated against other things. So here I've got the meta harness. It's been evaluated. Again, the methodology is here, essentially, where OIA answers where an app sits, 10 layers, 6 cross-layer span, security, sovereignty. So in the case of the meta harness, answers how well it runs within the actually the meta harness is used for scoring to an extent, and I haven't done a deep dive on that evaluation, but all this stuff is available in the here. You can sort of communicate about this and provide feedback and inspection, and bullshit detection can be done within where is it? I'm not sure where the chat is for. Anyway, I think the really have a QR code that shows when I've got a link up. So this page here, which is the Agentics.org community projects. In this case, this initiative is this issue 36, where what we're trying to do is provide a way of assimilating repositories into this format, sort of evaluating them against these standards. And then one of the other things that we've added here is the ability. So we added Martin's SummaryBot yesterday, and it did an evaluation. What we also have here, and there's some next steps here, but one of the things that we did was we have an improvement prompt. So this is something that if you, having scanned your repository here, and I'm going to add something to this page that allows us to submit other repositories for consideration. And the thought is that this will drive some traffic and some engagement with the OIA and with the community in general. But you'll be able to submit your repository for profiling evaluation, and then once the profiling is complete, we provide this improvement prompt, which is of untested value, but in theory this sort of provides your Claude code with a sort of assessment of where you stand, where the gaps are that could be closed, and how just general guidance to your Claude code on how that might be accomplished, or at least directionally, if not specifically. And it of course includes the kind of documentation so that you know what you're being evaluated against. And I think that if this is, I'm not 100% sure whether, okay, so some of this is running, I think, locally. Anyway, so the plan is to support people submitting repositories to this list, having it evaluated, and having it sort of scored here. And we talked about possibly maybe a bit of a leaderboard, that sort of thing in various categories. All that stuff can be automated. The goal is to use GitHub Actions to sort of process the repository and evaluate its against the standard. So still, not a lot of rigor
Michael,
in
can you
terms
drop the
of
link into the
evaluating
chat?
how it. Yes. Well, that's what I was struggling with before. The chat is
I was
somewhat
also getting
elusive.
a
Where
404 for the github.io link. Maybe is it permissions or is it open for all?
GitHub.io. Oh, that's a good question. So here's this. Let me see if it's a. Where's the bloody chat? I'm sorry. When I'm sharing, it's not clear to me where the chat is. Perhaps Martin's associate knows where the chat is. Where is it? Bugger. I'm sorry. I can send it. I'll just stop sharing because I think that the link will be more interactive. There's the chat. All right. So this is. Let me know if that's available. If not, we'll see where that goes. Now the hope is that this link would be linked from the. We could link to this page from the site proper. This is just one that I have access to. Let's see. So there's that one, and then the. Let's see. OIA. So, questions, comments, concerns?
I have a question, if I may.
Yes. Certainly.
You mentioned Claude Code. You're checking against, you're using Claude to check the code. What about coding that it was not done with Claude?
Well, actually, the initial evaluation is done against, in some cases, it's the, I've looked at the actual code. In other cases, and it's indicated on the page, you'll see some that say verified in code, others are description only, where it's been evaluated more from a documentation standpoint, not necessarily a deep dive into the code proper to see where that's at. And some of that evaluation is still a bit of a black box. I basically just said, Claude, here's the standards. Here's the matrix that we want to try and map it to, evaluate it. If you can get access to the code, do a deep dive on that. Otherwise, just work from the description.
Mm-hmm.
So in terms of like how the code was created, etc., that's sort of immaterial. It's more based on looking at what the OIA standards are and kind of framework and evaluating against that. So the sort of tool that you created your code with is immaterial. So it really could go against any code base in theory. And then there's a question of whether or not there's relevance to having your code base. I don't know if there's any code base that's not really relevant to OIA. Like for instance, if you look lower on the page, and I can share again, I suppose. But if you look lower here, there's a few things that are sort of, like for instance, this is the OIA model, which is this website here. It's a website, so it's not going to really check a lot of boxes. Okay. Likewise with the Agentics wiki, these are some other Agentics org things that just got pulled in there, but these sort of don't really have much of a profile with regard to OIA. But then you've got things like Martin's SummaryBot, where he's checking a bunch of different boxes. Obviously, the meta harness is all over the place. But I think that this can provide an interesting kind of point of focus and intersection between all the different repositories that we're sort of talking about, evaluating, it can socialize this OIA concept a little bit more. And I
Right.
think it provides some utility to people who are wondering, well, what is this foundation all about? What kind of value do they add? This could be something that can, where they can submit a repository and see some immediate assessment and kind of characterization of what they have and how they compare to other repositories, other tools. In theory, it could also be used as sort of, if you're thinking about adopting a certain repository into your workflow, this this gives you a sense of like, well, what exactly is this thing? We've got all these new frameworks, new harnesses, what have you. Like, where do these things sit? And I think increasingly, the shape and the kind of the component parts of these things is somewhat emergent, and being able to kind of run it through this filter sort of at least gives us a starting place for what exactly is this thing, how is it compared to other things that I've looked at. But
Michael, you also go ahead. Sorry, Joanne, go ahead.
Oh, well, my second question was, is there some concept of this moving sort of, forgive the use of the word stack, but moving up the stack towards either IEEE, W3C? Are you looking at a standardization kind of metaphor around this?
That I would defer to Rob on, because I think, Rob, you have a better sense of what the OIA roadmap is, if you're still with us.
Yeah, absolutely, Joanne. There is. The broad overview and the initial breakdown of what the OIA represented and looks like was presented to us by Mark Templeton back about, I think it would be about 10 weeks ago or so. And tabled to the community is literally that. Excuse me. Is this a framework that will function as a layering definition that will allow the industry to speak to the precision of the precise application of different tools across the tech, and can we envision it in a manner that is persistent even as the technology evolves so quickly? So it is
Right.
the intelligence version of OSI, and I think it is oia.agentics.org that presents that structured layer as it stands. So the conversations around what a standards organization would look like that would support this, that sort of deep dive in terms of the requirements, the process, and what it would take is taking place now, and there's lots of enthusiasm around it. If it's something that you want to sink your teeth into, it's certainly a fascinating body of thought.
Yeah. Well, I asked for two reasons. I mean, I am a participant in industry organizations. I sit on the board of MESA, IEEE, a bunch of them, and I've written standards all of my life. So when I looked at this originally, and now I'm looking at the qualification, to me, it goes towards, are you aiming at an ISO standard more than something that's necessarily IEEE? Because an ISO makes it cross-industry, cross-functional, cross-domain, blah, blah. And a lot of this actually fits into that picture.
Right. Yep. But that's certainly, I mean, it hasn't been scoped that tightly yet. So the conversations are just taking place in terms of what that would look like.
But it sounds like you'd be a great participant in that, Joanne.
Yeah, I probably would be interested if I can find some extra time to do that. Sure. Not only that, but because, I mean, there's a component of me and my brain that's real AI, meaning the company, and then there's the other part that does relevancy and testing for assessment of, whether it's Canadian government projects or US government projects or things that are financed from other organizations as projects. But this is where you start to get into the open versus vendor issue and who's going to run those standards. And I would like to see them be open, particularly when it comes to this stuff, because I think that, we're at the very infancy stage of this. And if we don't start baking in some guardrails around things like execution, authority, sovereignty, governance, all those wonderful words, they're just going to get lost in the shuffle, and we're going to end up with a lot of siloed stuff. So that was my reason for asking the question, and thank you for the answer, and I will look into this.
Fantastic. We'll make sure that you've got access to all of the docs that have been coming together in the conversations, John.
Yeah. And the only other point that I wanted to make was I would be very concerned about a code base that comes from a frontier model, because there are inherent bias. There's a lot of drift. There's a lot of issues around both the OpenAI stuff and also the Anthropic stuff. And how you write the code does sort of impact what falls into what category in this model.
Can you explain
Um,
or give an example?
I'm trying to think of a quick one. Okay, so in multimodal interoperable, things like Inkling. If you write your code with it, you have that immediacy of interaction, which you can't necessarily get from other frontier models or other types of models. And it depends on where your aim is. If these systems over a period of time under the nomenclature of intelligence are multimodal, multilingual, multi-everything, then you miss certain aspects by the code base that you use. It's not just about how you craft the agents, it's about the harness, it's about the way the interpretation comes in, the inferencing comes in, blather, blather, and blather. So I'm not trying to stir a pot. I'm just trying to kind of make this a little bit heads up. Let's not put the word Claude in there necessarily, because there's Cursor, there's a bunch of other tools. As I said, Inkling for audio. And are you aiming at intermodal and collaborative, or are you aiming for something else? Does that answer the question?
I think it's open for discussion. I think the broader, the better. And
right.
I think the more, the fewer kind of assumptions baked in, the better. But I would think that the sort of, well, I don't want to speak for OIA, but I think that the more principle-based versus vendor-based would be for me. It always comes back to, if you can define more like first principles or sort of the core concept and work out from there, it allows you to kind of evolve quickly with the times, because you're not necessarily locked into a particular sort of vendor definition of something or whatever. You have these more sort of primitives that are guiding and allowing your analysis to move kind of beyond a vendor, move with the changing of times, because the core principles, if properly defined, I think have a certain kind of evergreen nature to them.
Yeah, that's the goal.
I agree with you.
And Barry?
Yeah, I just wanted to jump in. Was it coincidence the 9 levels of how you guys broke this up? Was this originally structured around the technology readiness level, or do you guys, have you had that conversation?
The 9 levels was as it was presented by Mark on the Friday episode of Hackerspace back a few months ago. So
Okay.
the formulation and the conversations that he and his team had before that, I'm not sure if there was inspiration there.
So I guess I'm looking at this structure, and I briefly remember seeing Mark's presentation. If we take the technology readiness level, and for anybody who's not familiar with that, the TRL is a 9-level sophistication step process that was developed by NASA in the like mid 70s, and there's variations of it. It basically goes from one from it's napkin math, and it's a basic principle. It's stuff that our community is cooking up to level 9, which is it's stress tested. It's a Boeing 747. It's ready for 500 passengers. And there's variations of that, and I've done ones for digital readiness level and like the talent intelligence space and others. But I see each one of these 9 levels as having a parallel matrix that is the AI readiness level, because that's really the nut where when you confirm what level of the TRL it associates to, you can either say programmatically the AI is capable of that. We've had an expert human team say this is readiness level 7, and this is where Claude or whatever system can process it, or this is the level that requires human assistance. So it's a level 6, but it requires human expertise to get it to 7, 8, 9. And once you can assign the TRL, you open up a whole bunch of business mechanics, because that framework basically, whether it's US government, EU, NASA, big manufacturers, a lot of contracts at the enterprise level, when you want something, it has to be readiness level 8 or 9 before you can get a 6-figure, 7-figure, 8-figure contract out of it. But if we owned that part, basically with the 9 levels that Mark already had broken out here, with a readiness level associated to each of those, then as we spin out new ideas and we publish things on Git, this expert group that we have, we could have a committee that just goes through and does an audit and says, this is level 3, this is level 7. We would be stamping out that sort of score on a day-by-day basis.
Yeah, I mean, from my perspective, that makes sense, and I do think that the model that we're following is sort of allowing for this kind of gradated assessment level. There's sort of like the first pass with the language model and the standards and sort of what does it think. And we do have another pipeline in the queue for evaluating sort of by committee via GitHub actions and issues, different types of we have the facility to have a human in the loop component to the evaluation in simple terms. And so I think we can, as we look at things that are sort of beyond what can be automated into more human kind of certified, yes, this does qualify for X, that will be possible. But I do think that the idea of a maturity model or readiness level, again, I'm not the OIA expert, but it does seem like something that we should flesh out a little bit more, because I don't know that readiness is necessarily, it may be implied in some of this, but I don't know that it's
well, I guess the overlap for us with Matt and myself with the hackathon groups and planning that structure out, a lot of the team projects coming through, I quickly see that it might be a readiness level 1 through 5, and in order to get it into actual a customer or a consulting arrangement, you need to get it to the 6+ level. And that value for the greater community, it drives a huge amount on the consulting side, because we could be doing a hackathon with 10, 20, 100 different Gits coming through that never qualify for a high score. But as soon as we figure out where it's at, we have the bench of the 1 to 300 people here that literally we could table to any partner or any industry group. If you want to go from level 3 as a concept to level 7, like this is the team, you just swipe your credit card and bam, the project's up and running. But you would require that expert team to get it from a level 3 to a level 7 or a level 8 to get it commercially viable.
Yeah, it's a very interesting model and kind of feedback loop for that and potential for sustaining income. Adrian, I think you've had your hand up for some time.
Yeah, I have a comment and a question. I've been involved in standards bodies, several of them over the years. The one most recently is the Green Software Foundation, which is a Linux Foundation sub-project, and we have graduated some of our standards to OSI. One of the ones I'm working on is sort of on that path, but so a little bit of experience there. So I can be helpful in that. The question I had was, what's the mechanism for submitting a repo for evaluation? There was a whole bunch of repos in there. What is
right?
that?
Yeah, I'm going to be adding my plan is to add a form directly to that page, so that you could submit it and then get an assessment. That's just something that Martin and I discussed yesterday. So it's on my to-do list, but it's yet to be executed. But if you have something where you just want to like send it to me now, like I just added Martin's yesterday. So if there's, please submit in the chat or what have you, if there's repositories that you'd like to have evaluated, and I'd be happy to put those in.
Yeah. Okay.
I have
yeah, Joe. One second though, just real quick, Rob. Is there like a meeting or like a working group for OIA and the plan for that? Is there some sort of what's the
most of the
Yeah,
most of the conversations have been circulating around in the board, and then as it's getting a little bit of face time there in the GitHub repo, but there is about 6 or 7 of us that want to come together as a team to assess it and get an idea of what it could look like in a couple different versions or a couple different buckets of work over the next period of time. So I'd enthusiastically welcome any input from anyone that wants to weigh in on this and take a look at how this might be helpful for the industry as a whole. Definitely taking into account that it is meant to be vendor agnostic, foundation model agnostic, but help everyone speak the same language in terms of what a particular tool or piece of tech is touching or impacting in terms of the intelligence, overall intelligence stack. Sorry, Joanne?
Oh, I think Mandweep had his hand up before I did. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I just wanted to curiosity. So I was looking through that link I put on the chat for original Mark Templeton presentation. There was a mention there that Microsoft had expressed a lot of interest with their 80 data centers, and there was a lot of interest to explore their applications against this framework.
Yes.
Do we know what the latest? Because that will be like what I think someone was saying, what the industry validation of the TRL thing, right? I think having some inputs there probably not just is the marketing boost for us, but it actually proves the process of adoption. Any ideas on that?
Yes. So the TRL is phenomenal, and of course, that but distinct from the OAI in terms of what its intention and effort is. As it's been sort of digested, and I'm probably the one with the least experience in the space of standards, is specifically the OAI is meant to segregate the different facets, or in this case layers, of intelligence as a whole, whether it's on the steel or whether it's components that are dealing with the human in the loop, aspects, or tools that are dealing with inferencing and inference optimization, that very quickly people from radically different industries, but working with artificial intelligence, can narrow down exactly what tool set and what layer they're speaking to. And then when and so that's very distinct from the TRL. Yes, there have been expressions Mark brought to the table that there are have been conversations had, a willingness to support and lean in again to an open standards effort and organization around the OAI. So there is it is still very much on the table and in formulation in defining what that work would involve and how we would propose to take it on.
I mean, I was referring to the specific screenshot I put on the chat, right? So they had said that they were curious to see how their internal models would pressure test against OIA. I guess if we can pursue that, that gives us proper industry validation and like some data, I guess.
I would disagree with that statement. I don't think Microsoft alone gives you industry validation. I think you would have to have an IBM in there, maybe an Oracle and a bunch of other vendors, because otherwise it's going to be skewed. That would be one point. And the other point about the TRL, and I've done this for probably 20 years, looking at it or working with software that's trying to be TRL ready. The one thing that I want to make sure gets conveyed in my point is too much of the end user population, meaning the buying population, looks at this as black box. And it's not just about human in the loop, it's human on the loop, human in the loop, human on the hook in terms of agency versus authority or accountability. And TRL does not deal with that well at all. There's too much that's trying to be DIB or defense industrial base in the US that influences TRLs. So I would kind of make a broad recommendation, even though it may just be words, to say TRLs are there for a very specific reason, and that's government buying or military use. I don't think that OIA is necessarily trying to go down that route. And while the metric might be very useful as a sliding scale, OIA probably needs its own, because you still have too much where you want to have human in the loop, not only from the collaborative point of view, but also the authority and execution point of view, as well as security. Rant over.
Michael has been close, Martin as well. So maybe Michael we can round everybody up and put the next time on the map, and we'll make sure that word gets out, and there's an opportunity for folks to join. We'll give you lots of advance notice so that you can clear a small window if you did want to participate in those conversations.
Yes, thank you.
Wonderful.
Sounds good.
Right.
12:50, you got about 10 minutes left. I have a hard stop at 1 o'clock. Ocean, I think you were saying that you've got something interesting to share. Is Ocean still with us?
I don't think so.
I think he's dropped off.
Oh, yeah, bump. I heard Chris Peterson had something pretty neat as far as an Agentic UI, Agentic orchestration or visualization of that. Chris, are you with us?
Are you referring to me?
Yeah. Is that right? Is that right? Did I hear that right? Or was it Christopher Peterson? I apologize, Chris.
Phillipson, yes, but that's cool.
Yeah.
I guess, yeah, you're gonna put me on the spot here. Let me see what I can do.
It's yours if you like. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was talking to Brad about it. He really liked the clarity is able to get with it.
Chris, whilst you collect your thoughts, can I just ask one follow-on question on on the OIA. So, I think when we evaluated this, is it purely meta harness, what meta harness is saying against the code basis, or because I read it doesn't do the code evaluation of the repositories. I'm also curious whether we have used Agentic QE fleet, for example, in the not at the moment.
No. So if and correct me if I'm wrong, Michael, the idea of the assessment is not to deconstruct the code, the quality of the code, excuse me, how it's constructed. It isn't a proxy for TRL. It is literally assessing where the project as a whole is providing tools on which layers of the OAI. Does it
So
have
functional
human elite
aims.
control sections? Does it have inference, model selection optimization sections? So those are different stacks of, an overall artificial intelligence system. And in a repo, you might combine 3 different tools, which says, okay, this needs a checkpoint, and this is going to route which model this inference goes to. So that's layer 4, and this is layer 8. So it's assessing where the project or the code, what layers of the OAI are being touched, because if you're integrating a tool into a project, you need to understand what this tool is trying to influence. Is it trying to influence the governance? Is it trying to influence transparency? Is it trying to influence model selection? And that very quickly gives an assessing engineering team and the proposing team the same. They know what they're talking about. They're referencing it. They know exactly where they're speaking and where they need to look at the integration points. Does that help?
Absolutely. Thank you.
Yeah.
Hey, good morning, good afternoon, good night,
Hey, Chris.
wherever you happen to be in the world.
Good to see you again.
Yeah. Hi, everybody. I'm Chris Phillipson. Yeah, so what was it? I think it was on a Tuesday call with a smaller group. I kind of demoed what I've been working on. And so since I've been asked again to take another look at this, what I'm going to show you is just some work that I did that started out just for myself, but I figured, it's probably got some value. Let me share it. So let's see, share. I need to actually get.
Yep.
There we go. And desktop, share. And yeah, I think we're live now, huh? Okay, so this is a GitHub repo. It's called Agentic Kit. I can plop a link to it in the chat. It's also available as an NPM package, which you can install. It's meant to be installed as at the user level. I've gotten some feedback from folks who've tried it out early and tried to make some updates to make it a little bit more secure and respectful as it's being installed. But the manner in which you install it is npm install-g, and you're going to get a pre-release. Right now I'm in alpha. I've had about 40 alpha releases since I started this thing, and it's gotten progressively more capability. But the basics are, the tool set. It's a triumvirate, really. It's Rooflow, it's Agentic QE, and it's RoofBrain. And I couldn't have put this all together if it wasn't for the existence of those 3 projects. And so those are kind of the tools in my tool bag. And then there's, of course, the hosts. So there's Claude, Codex, and Robert Lee reached out and asked me to add open code support. So you can install this, and the premise is that all you really need to install is this package, and it will bring everything else along, and it will heal and upgrade as new releases are coming out for those tools, as well as tell you or give you some status when those tools are available for you to upgrade. And so you can run You can run AK setup the first time on your machine, and then you can have there's some flags to add additional capabilities here. You can have all 3 hosts active if you like. And then as updates are happening, you can check the dashboard, which is what I'm going to demonstrate here in a moment, and then do an AK sync and bring everything up to current. So let's see, at the command line, I don't know if you can see this down here, I ran the dashboard with a couple of flags. You can run without these flags, and you won't get the telemetry on RuFlow or AQE. But if you add those flags, you'll get the telemetry, and the dashboard will have more information for you. And so the thing we want to show is, of course, the dashboard. So let me bring that up. So what we see here in an overview section is kind of like system health of everything that's been installed to this point. And then as you can see in the middle there, it says, hey, there's 2 updates available. Agentic QE just released an update, and Open Code AI has a release. And so I could, if I wanted to take those updates, run AK sync at my command line to take them. So it's basically telling me what I can do here and giving me an overall kind of a picture of health of this installation. So again, this is meant to be installed as a global on your machine, and it will look at things, and I'm going to be showing you some stuff here in just a little bit. So this is kind of like general overview of health and well-being of the components and subsystems, the models, the model routing, right, and the routed host models here. I won't dwell on this. I won't get too much deep into it. You can read. I've got a link to the repo. There's docs. You can kind of get acquainted with that. Let's jump to usage. So here, what it's doing is it's looking at Claude, Codex, and OpenCode on your system and piecing together the number of sessions, the API equivalent of all the sessions that you've had over a period of time. Right now, I've got the filter set to the last 14 days. You can see the token burn and the engagement time, the cost per day, and then you can see by host, by Claude, by Codex, and OpenCode, of course. You've got open models, so you're not spending anything. And then kind of the models that were in play across the sessions and the projects that I was working on this machine, right? And you can see the number of sessions and the engagement time per project. If you had OpenRouter or were making use of OpenRouter models, which I'm not at the moment, you'd get, some feedback here. And then there's some classification, kind of what was happening in each of the sessions. It tries to classify these and give you some spend session information. So that's usage. Limits. This is kind of giving you where you are on your current plans, right? And some recommendations, some findings. This is basically looking at how you use Codex, Claude, OpenCode, and giving you some feedback. Sessions. This is looking at all the sessions that were executed by project, right? So you can kind of drill in, and then for each session, you can kind of get, some summary level information. And then you can kind of drill into the actual transcripts for that session and read through them if you like.
Is that
So that's
is the level of verbosity or the of completeness, is that a config setting or?
so this is capturing whatever the verbosity was when the session was run. So, you could mid-session do things like, hey, let me turn up the effort level, let me change the model, let me increase the verbosity, etc. It's going to respect that. Observability. This is the thing that I think was, the selling point for this, or to quickly turn into the selling point for this. But Right now, there's not really much happening other than it's telling me I've got 4 open sessions, right? I can drill in, I can know that, hey, I've got an open session for Claude Code on this project, another one for this project, right? There's not really much happening because all of them are sort of quiesced. There's open sessions, but I don't have anything kind of running at the moment. But if I want to go look at the history, I can drill into the history and I can see, all these different sessions that I had open for each of these projects, right? And you can kind of see the rough breakdown of things that had happened. This might not be big enough. Let me see if I can make this big. Right, and you got your session transcript here, but moreover, what's really interesting is you can do a session replay. So I can set the speed of the replay and I can play it back. Right, and you can kind of watch what's happening here, and you can watch over here on the visual side what might be happening over time. Right, and I can pause it, etc. So that's what this kit is, really. And it's available. Like I said, it's GitHub. You can fork it. You can, launch issues or, things that you might want to see fixed or features. I'm open for pull requests, and I'm releasing, kind of on the daily with this now.
And as a user, I will say that this is now my preferred way to get a new box up and running with the entire Rev stack. I have it on 5 systems now, and I absolutely love it. And I really appreciate it, Chris.
You betcha.
Are you providing a dev container that does the invocation as well? Because for me, that would be like the easiest way to show people what to do in code spaces.
I would love to collaborate on that because I'm not a dev containers guy, but if you've got a way that can wrap this all up and make it simple and delivered that way, I'd love to collaborate with you on that.
Okay, I can do that.
I think that will help because, I'm just asking Claude to do it for me, but generally, I think there are dependencies with the node versions and others. So AK setup would fail for some people. Probably this just try to copy paste the commands. So I think yeah. I'm just getting getting it installed on my laptop now. So I'm looking
Instant
forward to
take-up.
it.
The one thing to be careful of is the core setup right now. It's getting better at honoring like your existing agents file, your existing Claude file, but it's super easy for a repo that you've used a while and then have customizations for. You don't want to overwrite those, so just be mindful as you're installing it.
Yeah, there's object that there's flags for kind of setting how it actually either respects existing configuration or overwrites. So I encourage you to dig into that. And if it's not doing that, talk to me. We'll fix it.
Is it correlated to the actual physical infrastructure?
So it's basically machine based, right? So you run this one on a machine. I don't have. Long ago, I had this project called, basically it was a collection of projects. It was Sindri, Dropner, and Mimir. And Mimir was kind of like the control plane, and you could kind of orchestrate and get visibility to the tool sets or curated tool sets across your infrastructure, wherever it might happen to be. I made this simple. I just tried to make this simple so you install it on per machine.
Yeah, no, I understand that. I guess I was referring, and maybe I misspoke. I was thinking more along the lines of what are the hits on your GPU, your CPU, your TPU from a machine configuration point of view, because a lot of companies that I speak to on a regular basis, this is one of the issues that they have. There's no correlation between the software and the hardware.
So
and that would be a really useful add-on.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I mean, I could see that. So what I will say is the footprint is light. What it brings in though is, these tools and tool sets. So however many sessions you fire up, whether that be Claude, Codex, open code on your machine, that's going to have the impact.
Right.
Not this. Yeah.
So being able to track that, quantify it, and and the aggregate, right? So that you've got line of sight to the overall load. Is that what you're thinking, Joanne?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Joanne, hey, like I said before, if you got ideas, this sounds like a feature request. Log it and we'll work on it.
I just
It
started
is
running it.
only,
So,
yeah, because I know a lot of people in the bare metal and infrastructure business, core hardware, and they're all looking for that because they're having to justify why they have to either spend more on their hardware to get what they need, or alternatively, where they can reuse and make use of servers that are semi-retired because the lift and shift went to cloud, and they have them sitting there and they're trying to repurpose them for AI.
Gotcha.
I installed it a day or two ago and I haven't really got going that much with it on a machine that I'm also running other stuff on, and it's not clear to me whether it tracks all use of agents or whether it's just the ones that have started using under this sort of Rooflow space.
So what it does underneath the covers is it looks in the known places where Claude, Codex, and OpenCode write their ledger or log information. And so even if you've had sessions before you install this, it becomes aware of those. If those sessions had engaged with the triumvirate of tools I talk about, Roof, Brain, Rooflow, or Agentic QE, and you added those flags when you started the dashboard, you're going to get that as well.
Okay, that was me. Then I was having some issues with AQE not setting up right, or some problems. Is that fixed now, or that was just a transitory
You would have
thing?
to talk to Dragan about that.
Yeah,
And I've been, you might, if you're on the Agentic Tribe WhatsApp channel, I know you are, you'll see some of the things I've been logging for upstream help. So as they get fixed, I try and incorporate them.
Okay, so the Agentic QE thing has currently got some issues, and that's just surfacing those issues, right? That's not. So when you run this for the first time, if it mumbles something about AQE not being quite right, that's a sort of a known issue.
Yeah,
it would be helpful if it kind of was. I don't even sure what AQE was when I was trying to install this, so I think it might be useful to have a little bit more sort of preamble about what are these things and what's going on in terms of, particularly if there's known issues, it would be useful to surface that, just from a sort of blindly coming in and trying this thing out point of view.
Those are some great ideas. I hope when I go back and look at the transcripts for this call, those are going to turn into some issues. Thank you.
Thank you.
And so Adrian, yes, it's Dragon Spirndenoff, who has developed the AQE open source tool sets. Yeah, he's just not on today. Usually he is, but it's fine. Neat. Lots of excellent stuff. I personally must run. I can pass a co-host if there's more items that folks want to touch in on. Michael, how are you doing?
I kind of got to get moving too, but I could stick around a little bit longer if there's interest, or we can just see everybody tomorrow.
Very good. Any last elements or hands up? Anybody wants to touch in, or shall we call it here? Get on with the analog rest of our life today.
I
Go ahead,
have
Monica.
one quick point and would take 30 seconds. I think we need to do something about these videos ending up in videos.agentics.org, because I think we are quite behind. I know, Martin, you and I were meant to catch up, but I think I'm not sure where the status of that is.
Okay, well, so VideoSync it can work against Kaltura. There's nothing stopping it from having a what I call a maintain script, which is basically a way to bulk catch up. So yes, you and I can talk about that. If you want to talk about it right now, we could
Yeah, I can.
take it offline. And
I have some time. Yeah, I'll call you, or we can, or whatever. We can talk now.
okay. I will. Let me switch to my computer then. So, because that'll be easier for me.
Okay, I'm going to. So, do you guys want to connect direct? I'm going to close up the meeting.
Yeah, maybe we'll do it direct. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, very good.
Yeah.
So tomorrow, 12 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, AI Hackerspace. If there's some demos or something that anybody would like to give for lightning talks tomorrow, please let us know. And great to see everybody again.
Thanks.
Okay.